Hello, friends. Ooh, let me bring you my microphone. Forgive me for the noise. Hi, it's Katy Simpson here, and I would love to know if there's been any time where you have felt that you can't show up for your business, or maybe you've managed to, but it's a struggle. I'd love to know that. You don't have to give me any details. If you don't want to, just say yes or no down below. If you have ever had a time, a moment in time, an extended period of time, whatever, where you just feel that you can't show up. That's what I'm talking about today. So thank you so much for being with me, guys who are here. It's so lovely to see you. It's a lovely day in the UK today, and this subject is somebody recommended that I talk about this subject because she feels, and I'm absolutely sure she's right, that this can really help people. And this is maybe a conversation that isn't really talked about that much. I haven't seen anybody talking about this really, specifically this sort of problem, and it's a human problem, it's a normal problem. So in my thumbnail for the live show that I am doing right now, I have a little picture of the Queen, and it says something like I found it difficult to do my videos and podcasts since the Queen died, or when the Queen died. So this is a subject that we're talking about today, about mental health. And I just want to do this just to talk things through with you, not just for my own benefit, but this because I don't feel this conversation is being given much attention in the online entrepreneurial business world. Mental health is, and that's certainly a good thing. But I have struggled with this issue quite a lot. So I have developed or am working through tips and things that have helped me and do help me, and I feel they can help others too. So do share this with others if you can see it, whether it's on the replay, it's live, whatever channel you're on from, that's absolutely fine. Now, what I am going to do is I am going to just discuss the beginning of this, and then I'm going to take it off my Facebook profile, finish my live on there, and carry on my live in my group, my Facebook group. So if you are watching from my Facebook profile, we're going to have this sort of private convo over in my group. So the group is called the Live Video and Podcasting Success Hub. The Live Video and Podcasting Success Hub on Facebook. So it'd be lovely to see you there. So just a little beginning intro about what I'm talking about tonight. We have the coronation coming up in the UK in a few days' time. I actually said to my husband earlier, I'm totally confused, obviously, what the day is. I said, oh, it's the coronation tomorrow. It's on Saturday. It's actually Wednesday today when I'm recording this, and the coronation is on Saturday. So maybe you're watching on Coronation Day or afterwards, and we can look back on it as well. It's a big event. There's a lot going on in London right now. It's getting very busy up there, has been for a while. Not that it's never not busy. But yeah, I was just talking to somebody a couple of days ago, Lisa David Olson, wonderful lady. Do follow her if you need some real humour in your life. You know, not just naff humour, really great humour that reaches you in your core and gives you a good laugh. So she is fantastic, and she is staying up there for the moment. And we were just having this little deep conversation, and I told her that I couldn't show up on my any of my live videos or podcasts. Really, I did do a little bit, but I found it incredibly difficult to be out there and be consistent and be upbeat during the time where we suddenly lost the Queen of Britain, the Queen of Commonwealth, Queen Elizabeth II. We lost her very suddenly. We knew that she was getting older and frailer, but she had just appointed the new Prime Minister. And then literally hours afterwards, we suddenly lost her. And I only am realising it now. Hi, who's watching? Thanks so much for watching. I'd love to know, by the way, if you have ever struggled because of some circumstance or other to put yourself out there, maybe on your live videos, maybe on your podcast, in your business. Basically, you've just hit a bit of a block because of some reason or other. Just put yes or no below. You don't need to go into details unless you want to. So I'm just explaining about the time when the Queen died, and it was a time of shock. And, you know, I think it brought me back to when my mum passed away very suddenly. She, similarly to the Queen, really, she was younger than the Queen, but she was very, very fit, cycled everywhere, was a district councillor. Everybody knew her. She was very, very active in the local community and very physically active, and always going to visit people, going to sort stuff out. She had loads of things that she did. She didn't have a car or anything. She was always out cycling about, meeting people, visiting people, or digging the garden. And then suddenly we lost her. I know that many of you will understand that and maybe have experienced something similarly. And that was a massive shock. And I believe my body went into shock. I got really quite unwell, not seriously unwell. It could have been if it wasn't caught quick enough, but I got pretty unwell. Actually, it probably was serious because the illness that was simmering away with me just got worse after that. And I'm still struggling with it to this day. So that was 7 years ago. Yeah, I think things like that, when the Queen died, and people say it about celebrities as well, it can really bring up sort of PTSD symptoms, trauma, you know, sort of hidden trauma or memories of that. And when celebrities die, this is similar sort of thing. Oh, so thank you, Keith, so much for watching. And you lost your mother in your late 20s. Wow, that must have been... I'd love it if you could tell me a bit more about, you know, just a few little bits about how that processed through your body and your mind. That must have been really a very, very tough time for you. And maybe it was very sudden with her too. So This show today is about just talking about these issues, and I have 5 tips that I can give you, things that have helped me. Part of my skill set is being a voice coach. I have been since the year 2000. I've done extensive training in it myself as well, got a master's degree in it myself, so there are things that I can help with over that, and from my experience as well. So do stay for my 5 tips. I'm just going to bring in the little intro video to welcome in the podcast viewers, and I will be back with you, and I will just chat a little bit more about this type of issue and go through these 5 tips, which I'm really hoping will help you. If any of them do help, please reach out to me, because I would be so thrilled. Or maybe you can share this with somebody who is in business, who is struggling with something right now. You know that they are. And maybe there's just something that I say today or a comment that comes in that can really, really help them. So let's get into the little video. Don't go anywhere. It's just a few seconds long and I will be back. So I'm going to say bye-bye to my Facebook profile watchers, and I'll be back in a second.
This is the Thrive with Live show, the podcast where you can learn to go live with poise, professionalism, and peace of mind. Live video is the best free tool to win clients and grow your income and authority. So, if you want to ditch the overwhelm and confusion to skyrocket your online success through the dynamism of live video, then you are in the right place. This podcast covers all aspects, from your mindset, voice, style, and personal branding to all the technology and tools you need to get started and grow with live video. And now, here is your host, Katy Simpson.
And I am here. So we are talking about grief, loss, trauma, PTSD, those type of mental health issues that we can struggle with. And we're just talking about how we can carry on. Maybe it's not your business, maybe you just love going live and connecting with people, or doing podcasts, or doing little reels or TikToks, or whatever it is, you're showing up as you, and you're just being you for your business or for yourself, whatever it is, and you come to a bit of a roadblock emotionally. Now there are times where we're just ill and we just don't want to be sneezing down the microphone, or we just don't feel up to it because we are needing, our body is and our mind is needing to just rest, and that is totally correct and right that we should rest then. But I'm talking about when something happens maybe that reminds us of trauma, or maybe trauma itself happens, and we feel we've got to be this person on camera that we always are, our lovely, bubbly, bright self, or whatever you are like, whatever your character is like. And you just feel stuck and you don't feel you can go live or on podcasts. And I just want to give you some tips to encourage you that you might be able to. If it's right, if it feels right for you, if you feel you need to do it, and there could be something in you that you could bring out to be able to do it, then hopefully I'll be able to give some tips to you today. So we've got 5 tips today. Just before I get into those, I'm just going to bring up Keith's comment. He's talking about his mother dying when he was in his 20s. And Keith said that she died of lung cancer. It was a terrible time for me. I can really, really imagine that, Keith. And tragedy makes us who we are, doesn't it? If it doesn't break us, it makes us. And I'm sure you grieve her loss now, and it makes you a deeper person. And I'm so sorry for your loss. Even though it was a long time ago, it doesn't time is strange, isn't it? And we don't suddenly bounce back and then it's as if it never happened. So that must have been very, very difficult for you in your early years. I'm so sorry about that. Great that you could be with us, and thank you so much for sharing something that's so difficult for you. Marcus is here as well. Great to see you, Marcus. Thank you so much for coming. And Marcus is saying hi. They're saying hi to each other, which is absolutely lovely. Do carry on talking to each other in the comments. Feel free to do that. This is a comfy place for us. Live video and podcasting in a different way is it's wonderful for community. It's a safe place. Well, we should feel it's a safe place. And if it's not because of trolls, we can just moderate them away. So Keith says he thinks about his mother every single day. Yeah, that's wonderful, really, because you are honoring her memory and what she poured into you during her life. So thank you so much for sharing those things with me. I really appreciate it. So the first thing I'd like to say when we're talking about, can you show up when something like, and it just happened to be the Queen's death, and it's only really 2 days ago that I've sort of, and maybe now that I'm sort of realising why I just felt numbed when the Queen died. And there was a lot going on. There was, there was the shock of it and the sort of the nation talking about it. And she was, she's been the Queen my whole life. She's been such a rock, not just to our nation, but to the Commonwealth as well. She's been a rock when the royal family, all sorts of things. So she's been very, very dependable and somebody who's very wise and all these things. And I just could not, I was just sort of numbed. I just felt that I couldn't speak. Now, what I could have done is realize this first point. So before my tips, I just want to say it is good for us to talk. I know this seems obvious, totally, utterly obvious. And we know that it's good to talk. But especially if you are somebody who you've had trauma, and I'm not going to go into the rest of my trauma experiences, this a thing right from the word go with me, that I've experienced things and seen things and whatever, and I have been stopped to being able to talk about it. I've been, for my own safety partly, but I've been saying don't talk about it. It was for my own safety. It wasn't, you mustn't tell the police or anything like that. It wasn't that type of thing. But So I've been used to having that response to trauma, to clam up, to not express my feelings, to be silent. And it's only now that I'm starting to realize that. There was a YouTube video that I watched yesterday, I think. I think she's a psychotherapist, this lady. It's called Therapy in a Nutshell. If you want to look for her YouTube videos, she does really short, very helpful, very interesting videos about how tips and techniques that you can deal with stuff that is badly affecting you, and techniques to improve it. So she was saying that there are different trauma responses that we can have, and one of them is to sort of shut down and go mute, and that is what has obviously happened to me, and I'm only just sort of realizing it. The Queen, I'd never met her. My grandfather had met her, actually. He was an artist. He painted the Queen on the stamps. He was a stamp artist. He also painted the Mars bar wrapper. He designed that. Isn't that cool? So he actually met the Queen, but I never met the Queen. She wasn't a friend of mine or anything like that. She was a figurehead and sort of the mother of the nation, as it were, I suppose. So, but yeah, I've heard that when celebrities die, people actually go into sort of mourning and that sort of thing. And we had that type of thing was discussed during the COVID time, when there were people who were dying from it. And we talked about that, which is quite helpful. So Marcus is here, and he says the best things are often obvious, but that doesn't mean it's easy. Yes, Marcus, you're absolutely right. So he's referring to when I'm saying it's good to talk, keep talking. It is obvious, but yeah, you're right. It isn't easy, but yeah, it's good to push ourselves out of what our comfy zone is. Maybe if yours is to sort of go mute and quiet and inward in yourself, then we need to talk with each other. We need to discuss things. It's not that you need to get answers from everybody. I'm going to talk to that person. They're going to tell me the answer. They're going to make me better. They're going to cause this thing not to have happened. No, we just need to be human to human and just talk. We all have something to give, just like, your responses live are helping this conversation now, which is brilliant. So know that if you've been through trauma, however long ago it was, however maybe insignificant you think it is, you don't know, it might be sort of pushed down there and you've tried to ignore it and forget it, but it might be making a difference to you. And it's good to talk about things. Don't let things just fester and get stuck in you. Right, so these are practical tips now. I am not a mental health specialist. I am not a medical specialist. So do speak to a practitioner. Don't rely on anything that I'm saying, because, this might not be right for you, but I'm just hoping that something that I say today will just help you a little bit in whatever journey you are in over this type of stuff. So number one, before you think about doing a podcast or a live video and you are getting stuck in your mind over it, you want to do it, you really need to do it because of your business or whatever. First thing I want you to do is don't allow that fear response to overcome you, but do something or listen to something soothing. Yeah? Do something or listen to something soothing. Soothe your nervous system, soothe your fight and flight response. Because when we can think calmly and we're not in that fear reaction, then we're more likely to make a better decision and we're more likely to take a little tiny risk, do your video, do your podcast. So warm up with something soothing. And this can be different for each of us. I'd like to know if you are watching the video or if you're listening to the podcast, just type down in a review or in the comments something soothing that really helps you if you're in a heightened state of anxiety, nervousness, fear, whatever it is. It can be gardening, it can be exercising. A lot of people find that exercise just really helps. Movement definitely helps. It definitely helps to break cortisol getting hold of your body, getting hold of your muscles, the lactic acid and all that stuff that I don't quite understand, but it can really get hold of your muscles and really start to make you seriously ill. I do know something about that personally, but not actually physiologically. Scientifically, I don't understand it. So warm up with something soothing. The thing that's really soothing for me, there's a few things. One of them is just to doodle, and doodling with colour and a nice feeling brush or a nice feeling pen in my hand and just doing wavy shapes and filling them in with colour. That really soothes me. Another thing is there are some great YouTube channels with beautiful soothing music, really well written music and absolutely gorgeous drone shots, and you can hear bird song, and they're like somewhere really beautiful, like I don't know, Estonia. One of them that I saw the other day was Yellowstone Park. Oh, it was amazing. Drone shots of the animals and the waterfalls. It was absolutely incredible. So something soothing just to relax you and I'm saying warm up because it warms up the creative juices, because it relaxes you, it gets you in the right frame of mind. So Keith is saying taking 40 winks, excellent idea, just to calm you and soothe you. Great idea there. So find something that's soothing and do it. And if you need to do this every day or a few times a day, then try and recognize that in your body and mind. Try and recognize where you're getting wound up and you need to unwind. That's another thing that I actually think about. I actually think in my mind of uncoiling a spring, unwinding a spring, and I unwind wider and wider and slower, and I actually go through the motion of imagining that I'm doing that for my mind. So I sort of imagine that my mind is uncurling, and that does actually really help. So tip number 1. Tip number 2, you might be thinking, okay, I think I can do this, but I can't do it on my own. What am I going to talk about? What if I panic mid-flow? Whatever. So tip number 2 is, why not interview or just chat to on your video a really understanding friend, a good fun friend. Maybe it's a friend that you have laughs with, so you could it doesn't have to be your training or whatever that you do straight away. Why not just try and break your stress response, your cortisol response, by just having a fun live with a friend, maybe on Instagram, and just, it could be completely random, just having some laughs with each other. It could be talking about a football game that you had or a memory that you had with them, and just share, just be human, just communicate, just do it. do it, and it will really help you. It will help the happy endorphins, and you will think, okay, that was great fun. I think I can do something on my own now. So that's tip number 2. Interview or go live or podcast with a good understanding friend, and don't put loads of pressure on yourselves that it has to be professional level every time. Sometimes we just need to be us, and our audience, actually, if they're our good audience, they ought to love that. If they don't, chuck them away, delete them. Tip number 3. Choose a subject that you love or helps you and your audience. So basically, I've just talked about this. So that is exactly what I'm doing right now. I am choosing a subject that helps me, and I really honestly believe can help you as well. So think of something. If it is just sharing your vulnerable moment with your audience, and you feel in a strong enough place to do that, then do that, and it's bound to help somebody. If it is something that is on the wavelength of what you teach in your business or what your channel is about, then that's great as well. Both of those things can be fine. Or if you just need to laugh about something randomly and get it off your chest, then do that. So a subject that you love or helps you or and your audience. So that's tip number 3. Tip number 4 is be real. You don't have to share all your dirty linen in public. I'm just going to make a little remark about something that I saw, just to sort of lighten us up all here. I have talked about a program that is really fantastic. I've talked about it a lot on this show, and you will recognize the word Descript. A lot of you don't know how to spell that, so it's like describe, but instead of BE at the end, it's P for Papa and T for Tango. Descript. I talk about it a lot on here, so if you've seen my show before, you will be aware of me talking about it. And it is a transcription tool. It's a very, very clever tool. Marcus said, let's see those dirty linens. Yeah, do you know? I think when I started using them, they must have been quite a new tool. But they were giving out videos, tutorials of how to use it, because it has a lot of parts to this tool that take a bit of learning. So somebody who was the person who made the tutorial videos did his videos from his bedroom. And the reason I'm questioning it might have been a very small apartment, so it might have been his office and lounge as well. But anyway, it was certainly a bedroom, and I don't know whether he's a bachelor or not. I don't like to say, but he didn't blur out the background. And he wasn't the best at keeping his laundry and all sorts all over the place in these videos. So I was just like, right, I'll try and focus on what the training is here. But it was quite funny. So if you do your videos and things, I would suggest you just have a little look behind you, as she quickly looks behind her right now, to check that you don't have your laundry and stuff like that behind you. It doesn't matter if you are, just having to go live and be real, but you don't have to share everything. So if that would be a complete embarrassment to you, you know, make you remove the video, then just check behind you. Yeah, so when things are really raw for you, and you've got basically an open wound, metaphorically speaking, it's probably best for you to take some time for that wound to heal a little bit before you start sharing about it, because we need to take time to heal, don't we? So if it's really raw and hurting, then just take time for yourself for that to heal a little bit. But once it's, you know, it feels a little bit less painful, then do share if you can. Do share. So be real. Be honest. Don't feel that you've built up a persona for your branding, and you have to always be this, like my character is quite bubbly and smiley and encouraging. And there have been times this last month where I did a live video challenge, and both Marcus and Keith, who are watching the live stream, they saw me in not my bubbly well, I try to be encouraging all the time, but not in that way. But I'm still me, and it was fine. And they told me it was fine, that I looked fine, I sounded fine, and it's good, you know, that they were pleased that I was showing up. And for me, that was a wonderful, wonderful thing. And that can be for you as well. So don't worry if you feel that you are not your best. Being human and showing up as human really, really helps our audience more than we realize. And often it's the people who don't say anything in your content, you know. They might be the podcast listeners that you don't know exist because they don't say anything. And then maybe at some point they come out and say, look, you've helped me so much. And it can be really quite amazing. And I have heard that often it is the people who are the quietest are the people who are maybe inspired the most or want your services or something, because you've reached somewhere deep inside their heart, their mind. So Marcus is a YouTuber. He's doing really well in his YouTube channel, and he says that he has very good results speaking about his insecurities. That's really encouraging to know, Marcus. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, being vulnerable and being human and real doesn't mean that we're weak. And I'm talking to myself about that. It does not mean that we're weak. And something that I've learnt this last month is it doesn't mean that people don't believe how good you are at your business. If we show up as professional when we can, and then vulnerable when we need to be as well, then people, and if they're the wrong clientele for us, the wrong audience for us, maybe they'll think we're weak, and you know, they can just go and do their own thing and find someone else who they think is strong if they want, and they get out of our hair. So actually that's a really useful thing with this type of content creation. They can make their own decisions without you having to have an embarrassing or difficult conversation with them before you realize they're not your person. So yeah, Marcus says humans connect with humans is exactly right. I have grappled with this myself. So these sort of things, I'm sure they can help you. And I know they've helped Marcus. So that's great to hear. So number 5, a little breath technique. So we all know that breathing deeply can really help. There's loads of reasons why it helps, and it really helps the nervous system. It helps us to get oxygen into our brain. It really calms us down. It gets the blood flowing through our body. It's very, very healing. And often we don't breathe deeply, and especially when we are in a heightened state of nerves. Our muscles are tense, everything's tense, so we breathe very shallowly, and we tend to gasp for our breath. Maybe with our neck bent, so our head bent back a little bit and our shoulders up near our ears. And we're not getting enough oxygen into our body to properly oxygenate our body and blood and mind and everything. So breathing techniques, breathing deeply, are great. So just before I tell you this special technique, I just want you to get your hands. I've said this on another of my episodes, maybe a couple, but it's always good for us to practice this. So I want you to sort of put your hands on your hips, as it were. So underneath your rib cage, put your hands on each side of your body. And if you can get your thumbs to be around your lower back a little bit. So just... And don't push in, just rest them on your hips, just below your ribs. Okay, so this is called diaphragmatic breathing. So our diaphragm is the biggest muscle in our body. I'm pretty sure I'm correct at that. If I'm not, do tell me, any medical person, but I think I'm pretty correct. It's like one of those trampettes, those mini trampolines, those circular ones. And it's a very, very strong muscle in our body, and it enables us to breathe all the time without even thinking about it. And our body creates a vacuum, and then that wonderful diaphragm bounces down to allow us to expand our lungs, fill up with air, and then it goes right upwards, right up that trumpet, just as if somebody bounced really low on it, a big person, and the fallback, or whatever you call it, after the person's up high in the air, imagine the trumpet has sort of sucked right up. That's what the diaphragm does all the time. So we're just going to feel that ourselves. So just have your hands resting there underneath your ribs. I want you to take a deep breath in through your nose, just slowly. And while you're doing it, imagine something lovely. Imagine you're really relaxing, maybe by the ocean or in the woods or on a mountain or somewhere where it's just a wonderful place for you to relax. So breathe in a lovely deep breath and just allow your hands to start. You will feel that your rib cage and under your rib cage, it just starts widening a bit. Don't push it, but just feel that release and widening. And then we're going to breathe out just with pursed lips, like that, so that you actually feel the air going through your lips, actually feel that sensation. So let's do it now. So breathe in through our nose. Let's do it again. And it's a lovely sense of release and allowing the air to drop into our body rather than grasping at the air. Just allowing it to drop down, just like when you fill a jug with water, the water fills from the bottom upwards. Imagine that is how you breathe. The air fills from the bottom of your lungs upwards. Just imagine that's the case. Okay, so this special technique is about relaxing the vagus nerve. The vagus nerve is a massive nerve that runs from our head, around our ears, down, I think I'm right with this, down our neck, right down into our gut. So there's a really strong brain gut connection. And when we're really tense, that vagus nerve isn't activated. It's not able to work properly. So a way to relax the vagus nerve is to smile through your eyes. Yeah, just imagine that you're really relaxed and you're so happy. If you can't feel that, feel like somebody's giving you a massive happy surprise, or you suddenly see you've gone to see some amazing rare wild animal, wild bird, amazing place, like the Aurora Borealis or something like that, and you've just suddenly seen it and you're really happy, amazed, or you've seen some amazing fireworks, whatever it is. So, wow. If you imagine that, your eyes will crinkle up, you'll smile with your eyes, you start engaging the vagus nerve. So it's that breath that I want you to engage. So imagine that you're doing that and just breathe out like a sigh of relief or a wow, whatever it is. And that is the breathing technique that I'd like you to think about before thinking about creating your content. And you can do it. You can do it. And I would love to know if any of these 5 tips have helped you today. If you would like a quick précis of the tips, I've made a YouTube video yesterday of them, and I was sitting in front of the most beautiful bluebell wood. It's a patch of bluebells very near where I was brought up, in a park. And it's just so beautiful. And I said to my husband, can you just film me on my phone? I'm just going to sit in front of it and give a few tips about this type of thing. So that's what I did. And I put it on YouTube yesterday. So if you search Katy Simpson, Katy Simpson, as in the book What Katy Did. That's why I call my whole name's Catherine, but I shorten it to Katy because I loved those books, What Katy Did. So if you go to Katy Simpson live video and podcasting coach, Katy Simpson live video and podcasting coach on YouTube, and you will find that video about PTSD and making your content. So thank you so much for being with me. Really appreciate it. Do hope that some of these tips have helped you. And go and create some content that changes lives. And count your blessings and press record. And I will see you in the next one. Bye.